This is the story of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear the bullwhip crack like this. Let's begin now.
1, 2, 3!
Howdy, strangers. Indeed.
Let's begin now.
I love that. Did somebody scan all the pages from that and you could just watch it as a video now?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. I was trying to think because we decided to show, but I didn't have anything prepared, but this is something I wanted to talk about for a while. So the let me give credit to, so someone scanned that, and that is Nick Tierce. Actually, no, wait, hold on a second. That is Blue Harvest Toys.
And that is Gabe Athhouse? Gabe?
But what's really funny is what I wanted to talk about was the guy. There's a podcast called Blast Points, who I would totally like to support and suggest, because they very much have our sense of humor about things. And they're very on the level, as I'd say. And they did whole podcasts on the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like when the Dial of Destiny was coming out, they went all Raiders instead of Star Wars. And they did the segments on the Raiders children's record, which I'm totally obsessed with these things. But as they were doing it, and this is how on the level the Blast Points podcast guys are, I'm thinking to myself, what would the movie look like if you actually edited it to this truncated version of two sides of a 45?
So they haven't done that. That's your thing.
They then immediately say, how funny would this be if you blow up? Which leads a fan of theirs, Nick Tierce. I definitely want to throw out there who did it.
Nice.
And of all the like bits I'd want to do for the show, I'm like, oh, thank goodness someone did it. I can give them credit, and I would love to show a little bit of it. First of all, here's another section of the book. Again, Blue Harvest Toys put this together, scanned this, and the transitions and everything. So let's listen to a little of the flavor of it. And then I would love to play and we could do this in segments too, because it's all brilliant. The Nick Tierce cut to the actual record. So here's another sample of the children's record, which I'm totally obsessed with.
Deep in the steaming jungles of South America, Indy had discovered an ancient temple. Many traps guarded the solid gold statue within. Indy dodged deadly spiders, iron spikes, and a deep pit before he finally found the priceless treasure. Gently, Indy lifted the golden idol. The ancient walls began to shake.
I've sprung the trap.
Poison darts flew by his head. Indy fled through the passageway, a huge boulder crashing at his heels.
Sprung the trap.
Desperately, he dove out of the temple just as the giant rock sealed the entrance forever. Indy looked up to find himself surrounded by angry warriors. From the ranks of spears and blowguns stepped a tall Frenchman, René Belloc.
So, you beat me to the treasure, Dr. Jones. But again, we see there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away.
Reluctantly, Indy handed over the gold statue.
Too bad your friends here don't know you like I do, Belloc.
Indy had...
So a minute 22, they take care of the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film.
That's what's crazy. And you're sitting there listening to it because they play it in real time on the Blast Points podcast. And you're like, what in the world would the movie look like? So now let me, indeed. Now let me play you a little of the read-along cut, because it's just so funny to see it actually edited at the pace of this. Including in this guy, again, Nick Tierce. And Nick Tierce actually has another really brilliant segment that he edited that I'll share on a different show. He did a bit that I would have never thought to do, but once you see it, you're like, That's exactly such a great bit on the Star Wars credits. But check this out, and then we'll get on with the show since I overtook the opening.
Hey, this
of
is
it.
the show. It's all Harrison
is the
Ford
show.
all the time.
It's a Ford Funhouse.
That should
Two
have been
Fs
episode
or
of today's.
2 PHs. But anyway, no, we'll do a proper Ford Funhouse because I want to show some of the old video game stuff we did too, some of which is really funny and we should revisit more professionally and computer fight. But anyway, check this out. This is the children's book. Did you have these, Paul? Did you have them?
I mean, still May. That garage is like the cave in the opening of Raiders. There's wonders in there, and I just got to get by a few traps. And
Well, I'll
I
tell
got
you
some
what.
stuff in there.
Because, I heard them do it. I got very jealous because I'd thought of this before, covering some of these children's records that Harrison Ford's characters or even voice, for the story of Star Wars is all the actual dialogue from the Star Wars. And it turns out they did a Raiders that's nothing but dialogue and sound effects, like no narration, which is insane. And the Blast Points actually covered that too. But you and I should sit in front of a record player in the Admiral's Lounge with 2 mics on and actually physically playing the 45 and commenting would make a really fun show.
I'm wondering if I have it here. I don't think I have it here.
Yeah.
If I had, I might have the book. But legitimate.
If you did, it would sound like this.
From the ranks of spears and blowguns stepped a tall Frenchman, René Belloc.
So, you beat me to the treasure, Dr. Jones. But again, we see there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away.
Reluctantly, Indy handed over the gold statue.
Too bad your friends here don't know you like I do, Belloc.
Indy had no sooner resumed his archaeology lectures than he was contacted by government agents.
Professor Jones, what do you know about the lost Ark of the Covenant?
It was the sacred chest used to carry around the 10 Commandments. I've got a picture of it in this book. The Ark was said to have mysterious powers, and any army which carried it into battle was undefeatable.
That's the very reason we must find the Ark before the Nazi army does, Dr. Jones.
First, we'll need the key to the Ark's location, an ancient gold medallion. And I think I know just where to find it.
Oh, wow.
In the frozen peaks of Nepal lived Marion Ravenwood.
And we'll pick that up again later because I want to play eventually his whole cut because it's just
the frozen pizza of Nepal. That's what I heard, but I hear what I heard.
Well, what's great about that is we're laughing at the Harrison Ford voice. Of course, literally no human being has a better voice than Harrison Ford, so you're not even going to really try. It really sounds like the voiceover guy's like, okay, there's a guy named Indiana Jones. He got I love that.
Guy. Yeah,
I love the performance, right?
Yeah.
Because then you hear the government agents and you're like, I know, and even the narrator, and you're like, I know these voices from like Transformers or GI. These are veteran voiceover guys, guys. And so you're like, I love that I'm hearing clearly a voice I would hear as the authority figure on the, Pippi Longstockings cartoon or whatever, But yeah, so I love that the guy's not even trying to do a Harrison Ford. He's like, I'm doing an adventurer, kind of a tough guy, like as though he's never even seen the movie, and it's kind of a cool Indiana Jones, yeah.
But if you were going to mock the Harrison Ford voice, it would go with a little something like this. I got to get the audio. Can you hear that?
No.
Oh, son of a... I hate sharing.
Are you on mute?
Shouldn't sharing screen be easier?
Sure. Yes, it should be a button that you press, and it very well might be if I spent more time figuring out our technology here and creating a graphic for the Ford Funhouse. What piece of music would you use under the Ford Fun?
Someone you care about seeks
he's so good.
reconciliation.
Mescaman? Yeah, I mean,
Lucky numbers 41, 27, 25, 47.
Well, let's pretend this is great.
45. So, someone you care about seeks reconciliation.
Right, stop it. Could you hear that?
I could.
You could?
I could hear that one, yeah. That's why I was laughing, because his impersonation is
really?
Dead
Son
on,
of a
yeah.
Bitch. All right, now I'll play the whole thing. Here we go.
I was like, pretend it's brilliant. I'm like, that was pretty good.
Reconcile. Get it over with. Move on with your life. Let's see.
He's reading fortunes.
Or he's going to read you your fortune. So, my glasses. Someone you care about seeks reconciliation. Lucky numbers 41, 27, 25, 47, 2, and 45. So, someone you care about seeks reconciliation. What are you waiting for? Why don't you reconcile? Get it over with. Move on with your life. Let's see.
I mean, he looks enough like Harrison Ford too that I want to make a Harrison Ford short with that guy. That's so. I mean, he kind of looks like him too. It's
well,
really
he and
good.
Ross are buddies. They used to do videos together. He and Ross Mark.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, and it's funny because they both do Harrison Ford.
Right.
I still have met nobody who does Brad Pitt, and Ross Marquand does Brad Pitt. Does him so well. Hey, let me tell you what. He does him so well. It's
and
great.
The best impersonations are one that you've never heard anybody do.
Yes.
Because you never realized how particular it was. And Ross Marquand came in with like 10 of those, and you're like, I've never heard anybody do that either. But that is the perfect, And once a Ross Marquand puts an impersonation like Harrison Ford out in the world, then everybody starts being able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when John DiDomenico did Peter Falk with the eye. I was like, wow, okay, hang on. That's different. You can do but when the eye goes off this way, and then let me ask you one more question. And I was like, holy shit. Well done, friend.
How long have you done a Peter Falk, right? The first time you heard the voice, did you start working on it?
No. Yeah, so when he did it, I went, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
But
right.
With the eye, though. And then it turns out Kevin Pollak can do it with the eye, too, so I don't know. It's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, I remember trying to do that thing that he did, because I remember I saw him on Carson, and he held one finger and then watched it, and I was like, can everybody do that?
Yeah.
Like, because he actually trained his eye.
Oh, yeah, he just moved one eye to watch and move.
Yeah, he was able to do that, which is to get the one eye over, like he followed his finger. Yeah. And I remember trying that as a kid when I saw Pollak do it. I'm like, spent all day trying to figure it out.
So you may have the gist of today's show. It's a Ford potpourri while we make time to watch 6 Days, 7 Nights and get back to you with our thoughts on that movie, because I haven't seen it since the theater. And Adam, I forget you have.
I have never seen it.
All right. Well,
This
this is
gonna be
Ivan
very
Reitman.
exciting.
It's Harrison Ford. It's Anne Heche. Rest in peace. So it's gonna be, and David Schwimmer. So it's gonna be fun.
Man. Well, that's really the genesis of the show. Is I tuned out at that time, and I realized that had gone out of theaters, and I was like, that is the first Harrison Ford movie I've not seen in theaters since, Blade Runner. I was too young, but like I'm like, oh shoot, and then what comes after that?
What Lies Beneath? No. Yes. Wait, what year is that? 98. So 99 is Random Hearts.
Right. And then I didn't see a bunch of Harrison, and that's when we first started talking. I'm like, I can't believe there's so many pockets of Harrison Ford that I don't. And I just wanted to start with this one, 6 Days, 7 Nights, and move forward and go, because I want to just complete my Harrison. Then we looked up his IMDb and we're like,
Time for Killing, The Journey to Shiloh. Yeah, then we're going to watch all those.
Being complete is tough with him. So yeah, it's the Ford Funhouse today.
Yeah.
All right.
So let me get to some. Let me get to some crap first.
Let me ask you one more question. Harrison Ford as Columbo.
I saw this picture. Yeah, I'm going to share.
You guys,
people now. People now share Harrison Ford stuff with me, as I can imagine. They probably do it with you, and then I share it here. So someone posted this photo. And it's part of an old GQ.
It's so funny. Every time you put up a photo of Harrison Ford, I go, I'm like, yes. Continue, Paul. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's part of an old GQ Q&A. It says, this is GQ. I have to ask you one fashion question. There's this photo of you at the Cannes Film Festival in 1982 where you're wearing blue shorts and a blue sweater. It's become this sort of shining star inspirational outfit for menswear enthusiasts. Are you aware of this? Guess Ford's response.
I don't know.
Hey, you're probably not going to get it right. I think I'm going to be ill.
So somebody asked him about this outfit. Where was this at? I missed the beginning.
I missed the context. It's GQ somewhere, but chances are it's current, talking about something from years ago. But apparently it's catching on with fashion trends. People
as
dig
well
it.
It should. I think I'm going to be sick.
I think I'm going to be ill.
Ill. Because
he doesn't like any of that stuff. Didn't care about any of that.
No. Oh God, no.
It's great in its own way.
But as I was looking for that children's record, I did come across another clip I meant to pull, which is there's a full GQ interview. Have we watched any of this together, Paul? There's a full GQ interview. I mean, I could go find it and we could play a segment of it later in the Funhouse here. But it's at the Dial of Destiny, and it's a interview sit down. I've never seen any clip pulled from it. And he's going over all the Indiana Jones movies, and he's got some great, little Harrison Fordisms and stuff. So that might be the one where I hope that's on video and saying they're going to be ill.
Yeah, let me see if I can find.
I'll pull that GQ thing because it's like I was like, oh my gosh, we got to watch this. What is that?
All right, let's see. Oh, hang on. Here it
As
is.
we put the show together in front of the audience.
Well, it's funny because that ended up being the tagline, or one of the tagline, perhaps, but also one of the first lines in the movie Saturday Night that we absolutely subscribe to. They say the show doesn't go on. Show doesn't go on because it's ready. It goes on because it's 11:30.
Right. Yeah.
And that's us.
Yeah.
So here it is. I think I'm going to be ill. But I don't know the context for this.
That might not be on video.
Yeah.
But I'll pull a little clip from that. You reminded me of GQ that there's a whole other video I was going to.
But we can guess context, right? He's there to talk about Dial of Destiny, and GQ goes,
"Yeah,
got a fashion question," and he's ill already, right? And then he's already ill at that point. And
well, it's like GQ branding, right? It's GQ asking about a GQ shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hey, there we go. It's Paige Turner. I'm sorry, it's Brennan.
Yes, Arnold Palmer back in the news. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
For that. Dumbass.
Isn't that funny?
So speaking of Harrison Ford, that's how we can get into every bit today, if you'd like.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, that's the graphic. Speaking of Harrison Ford.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, remember one of the last shows we did, we went on and on about James Earl Jones passing away. And that was
the description of this show, by the way, is speaking of Harrison Ford. That's, the Ford Fiesta, what's that about? Speaking of Harrison Ford.
We got a couple more people that passed away in the past couple of months that have Harrison Ford connections.
Oh, do they?
First of all, back in September, Sergio Mendes passed away, the legend. Now, you, of course, remember Sergio Mendes, Adam, as a musician whose studio Harrison Ford built back in the construction days of Harrison Ford. I don't know where that photo is, but you have it somewhere.
Oh,
sure.
I do.
Yeah, but it was a shame to hear that Sergio Mendes died. And then even a bigger name in the world of Harrison Ford, in the name of movies in general, and movies I love in general. We had the death of the great Robert Watts. Your producer of Return of the Jedi and
I didn't know he was
Raiders
in
of
it.
the Lost Ark. And he was in it. And he's the half-brother of Jeremy Bulloch. The things you learn when you go looking at someone's obituary. But
is he in the AT-AT there in the
that's got to be what that is, right?
Or is he the guy that the Ewoks pull out of the AT-ST and tosses?
Oh, I wouldn't be shocked if he was in Jedi, because I think that's the one he ended up producing after working way up as associate producer and other stuff, and then producing Raiders. I mean, he was legend. But
the other part of the YouTube hole I went down was a bunch of making of stuff, and so not Robert Watts, but on who's the producer on Temple of Doom? That's Frank Marshall, right? And all these behind the scenes clips, and you see a shot of them starting to shoot it, in the village in India, and they start the camera moving, and then they cut into the movie. But when you're in that wide shot and you're looking at these guys like Robert Watts and Frank Marshall, corral, that you're just like, it is so crazy that human beings made Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Like no or Return of the Jedi. No human being could make that. Look at how complex that is.
Yeah. I just looked up real quick. This shot is from Return of the Jedi, where he became a co-producer. He was an associate producer on Empire.
Okay.
And then by the time you got to the Indiana Jones trilogy, he produced all three of them. So,
wow. Robert Watts.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, we do all the news has something to do with him lately. Did you see this craziness? Let me make sure I get the correct thing open here. This, of course, is the famous Petra.
Sure is.
Ancient city in Jordan, where they filmed the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Buried underneath, archaeologists recently discovered a tomb with 12 human skeletons and artifacts, estimated to be 2,000 years old. I love that Indiana Jones was way ahead of real life on this one. So they just found a whole bunch of cool stuff underneath the floors of Petra.
My belief that we create our own reality, which I subscribe to for a lifetime, did not take a hit today. I'll just let you know that. We don't know that was down there until they made a movie about Indiana Jones going down there. And
well, in 1936, Indiana only wishes he had remote sensing techniques with ground penetrating radar that can detect underground objects. But once they've had one here, they found some stuff, and sure enough, they dug it up, and I'm sure it's going to go right in a museum as like a 2,000-year-old, the latest 2,000-year-old discovery. So
big bonus points for the guy in the center wearing an Indiana Jones hat.
And exactly, yes. I mean, if you're going to that site, I'm going on horseback, and I'm wearing the hat. So
yeah,
that's what's up.
And the guy on the right, he got a what's his face from Jurassic Park?
A little
Alan Grant.
Little Alan Grant. Yeah.
I don't know. Because obviously, when we saw Alan Grant, we were like, "Oh, you can't put a fedora on him, obviously, but he's meant to be the type."
Yeah, any of the guy who's like digging up the past and trying to, that's you got to put an indie type hat on him.
Yeah,
nowadays. But thought that was pretty cool news. Other
Very
weird
cool
news that involves Harrison Ford, because again, everything does. Turns out the producer of Blade Runner 2049 is now suing Elon Musk's Tesla and Warner Brothers because in selling Tesla's new cybercab Robotaxi, Musk created AI-generated promotional materials, and they all think it came from Blade Runner 2049. So that was the source of the AI-created imagery to push this thing. And of course, this producer's like, I don't want to be involved with his extreme political and social views.
Exactly.
Plus, there's copyright infringement, and he thinks Warner Brothers went along with it and facilitating the partnership. So he's just like, I'm suing all of you. You can't do this. And so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, somebody just posted, and it might be connected to this, but like some sci-fi designer, and I can't remember what movie, had 3 different Elon products and 3 different screenshots from, maybe it was Blade Runner 2049. And he wrote, I would like my ideas back, or whatever. I would like my design back.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's got to be that.
Well, somebody's taking it to court. So there you go.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. I mean, it's the weird thing is like, he just wants to be Matrix guy. He just wants to, it's so clear. It's like the Cybertruck obviously is the Back to the Future 2 inspired. You made a stainless steel looking thing or whatever, but which I guess is cool if that's your design. But I think the Cybertruck was one of the ones that's also in Blade Runner or 2049 or what.
Yeah, it looks like something out of Ready Player One, even more so.
Yeah.
But
I found this photo, by the way.
There it is. Harrison Ford.
I love it. Now,
building Sergio Mendez's studio somewhere in the valley.
Insane. He built a deck for Richard Dreyfuss. He built there's another famous actress. He built some part of her house. I would love to track these down across Los Angeles. Things that Harrison Ford actually built. Sergio Mendez studio. You can find it on Google Maps from above or whatever, but it's just...
That would be a fun afternoon. I'd do that.
Yeah, of course you would, Mr. Tour.
Harrison Ford built the tour.
Yeah, Harrison Ford built that. How cool would that be? Love it.
He had a family to support, What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
We could talk about this. Okay, let's talk about real quick my trip up north, because I take a big trip every year that goes
Speaking
like a week and a half.
Tour locations and famous
weeks.
Harrison Ford locations.
Yeah, so I went all the way up to Redwood National Park. It's the last national park I had yet to visit. So I visited all the California national parks at this point, and just took my time coming back with Susan along the coast and seeing everything that we possibly could. And it involved a lot of cool stuff. Now, when you think Redwoods, of course, you think
Midnight Run. No, it's short for Redwood.
You think it's complicated. No.
Do you dye your hair?
You think I'll have tea.
You
think, of course, Return of the Jedi, speaking of Robert Watts one more time, and speaking of Harrison Ford. So there's a grove in the Redwood National Park, it's actually just outside of it, called I think it's in an area called Grizzly Creek. So if you go there, it's not necessarily right in the park proper. It's one of the weirder national parks in the state because the line to go in and out, the line blurs between entering it and exiting it. There's no like gate or major, like have to flash a national park pass. You can kind of go in and out, and there's a ton of coastline. You'd think redwoods, and it's like nothing but trees and forest, but it's also right next to the water. So you have these amazing beaches and rugged coastlines and stuff too. But if you go into the Grizzly Creek area, there's a spot called Cheatham Grove with a ton of redwoods. And that's where they shot Return of the Jedi. Oh. That's where they ran through the woods with their steady cams and made it look like, you know, a POV for a speeder bike.
And we all watched that making of over and over and over with the steady cam and the guys walking through, and there's a guy guiding him with like a line that they had to adhere to or whatever, and measuring it as they go and just slowly walking to shoot that thing at 5 frames per second or something.
Yeah, do I have that? I did have that.
That's out there.
Yeah, I thought I had it.
Well, keep going with your story. I can find that for you.
Yeah, I had it. I was going to pull it. Boy, I had Photoshop being real sketchy today. Not Photoshop, Adobe Premiere. You know, they just updated it, so everything sucks.
There's a solution for that.
I'd love to hear it.
Final Cut X.
Oh, Final Cut, of course. Thank you.
I'm sorry you've gone through the last 15 years of hassle. It's
the last
save yourself some trouble.
Couple of days, but today mostly I wanted to cut out that little clip of what's his balls talking Dennis Murin talking about it. Let's see. Wait a minute. What do I have it? I may. All right. Let me just let me try sharing
let's
screen.
Go to a commercial.
That always works.
Here, let's take a quick break while Paul assembles his
let's
thoughts here. All right, where is it here? Of course, I can watch this on a loop. I didn't know the truth was mine. I never meant for you to feel this way. Drive! I never meant for you to feel this way.
That grin, right? Thursday or whatever.
I know. Every nuance of Harrison Ford, I am obsessed with. Going back to our impersonation thing, I think we've also revealed little things that he does that you could add to an impression that would be fresh, because I think we've figured out a lot of nuances. You know, how he thinks, you know, like the thinky fingers, things like that.
Oh, did you see him on Kimmel recently? He's out in the press tour for Shrinking. Boy, he was really high, I think. He was quite high. If you got any of that, pull that while I'm yapping. All right, so basically the point is I was going to show a little video of Dennis Murin talking about how they sent Steadicams through the woods, but they shot in one area of the redwoods called Cheatham Grove to the point where now this probably wasn't there before, any kind of hike through Cheatham Grove, but now there is, and it clearly takes you to point 1 and point 2 where they shot some scenes and then leads you back out again. So it seems like the entire walkway in Cheatham Grove reflects where Return of the Jedi was shot. So with that, I bring you
the one place where you couldn't find any marker. Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's me in front of one of the fallen redwoods that they go under. Yeah. Jeez. They're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Jeez. So even when they fall over, they ain't going anywhere unless you take a chainsaw to them. But
they're thick.
Yeah. So that's where, they take a quick duck under one of those. There's a couple more, but they're not quite as relevant to a moment, you know, with the stars of the film, like this log. So when they have to duck under there.
Well, that's the thing. Who can tell the tree that the speeder bike crashes into after Luke cuts the front off of it or whatever? You know, like or the one that the Ewoks wrapped around or whatever. Like it would all just be overgrown. It wouldn't look like anything except for that is clearly the actual shot.
And look how huge. I mean, I'm 6'2", so then look how huge everything is. I mean, these are 350-foot redwoods. I mean, it's super impressive in there too. And it's just so incredible to walk around and be there. And then movie shit too. So yay.
Incredible. That's incredible.
So I come down the coast a little further and stop in Point Reyes. I'm not sure if you know Point Reyes, California, but
is that where they shot Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round?
No, it actually, this is, I'm veering away from Harrison Ford, then back to Harrison Ford, then I'll veer away again.
Okay.
So this is not a Harrison Ford.
Oh, we're away. Okay.
We're away.
It's away.
It's away. It's the fog. So I went to Point Reyes where they shot the fog as it came into the town, and even more so and more relevant and recognizable in the film.
Oh, I love when it's recognizable.
The Point Reyes Lighthouse.
Like so that.
That is intact from the days of old.
Whoa.
Sadly, we got there a little late and couldn't walk down to it, but obviously you can just get this shot from the top of the stairs. And I have another shot where the fog was coming in, because that's me at the bottom, and the fog was, that's my shot at the bottom. And if I widen that out, fog was like on its way.
Is it? Oh my God.
And based on that movie, we got the hell out of there. So, so that was pretty cool.
Wow. That's legendary. What a legendary location. Like, I'm like back to when I first saw that movie, I was like, maybe, I don't know, just old enough to maybe watch it. And that's such a freaky movie. All that atmosphere. Oh my God. That's one of the movies that made me a horror fan.
When I give the movie location tours, the church from the fog is in Sierra Madre. So you go out past Pasadena and you can get to it. And I recently found the general store they visit at one point in the film is the Laurel Canyon general store, like halfway up Laurel.
I just read this too, that it was in the fog.
Yeah, so that's cool. And then I was going up north and I went, wait a minute, I know the rest of the movie was shot up north. So here we are. Turns out it's Point Reyes. And Susan wanted to drive out and see this lighthouse, go to the very tip of this peninsula. And we did that. And then, but for the whole city to be where they filmed it too was pretty cool.
Wow.
Tough to match it exactly, the shot there, but
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the storefront there. And the one on the right has been replaced, like, or no. That's
it might be that.
No, it's the same. There's
redesigned.
a shadow that makes the roof look more shallow. It's got gutters now, so there's a shadow.
And that building with all the lights on it, kind of, so with the tree out front, there clearly wasn't a tree 40 whatever years ago. So
no, there's a tiny tree, it looks like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it might have been a tiny tree, but now it's
you can still
it's masking. It's masking the definition on the roof, which would be there if I walked up close. But if I walked up close and got a shot, it wouldn't be the same shot as this still. So
you're framing it, which is the best. Whenever I go on any location videos or whenever you post anything, it's that exact framing is just like, wow, love it.
I try to, yeah.
Put you right in the movie.
Today I put one up. If check out the LA Film Locations Tour social media, I put up a shot from the end of Santa Monica Pier when Judge Reinhold drives off of it in Ruthless People. But so check that out. I'm not going to jail. Now back to Harrison Ford. Speaking of Harrison Ford,
Santa Monica Pier also falling down?
That's Venice, but Forrest Gump, The Sting. Yeah, they took that whole carousel at the front of the Santa Monica Pier, and even in 1973, with special effects, inserted it into the Chicago skyline. So that whole hippodrome where the carousel is, where Gondorf lives in The Sting, Gondorf, Henry Gondorf, that's all out on the pier. So you can go check all that stuff out, or take a tour, and I'll show it to you. But then back to Harrison Ford, sweeping through San Francisco. I think I shared on here already when I stopped to see the staircase from the final shots of Raiders of the Lost Ark that are at the City Hall down there in the middle.
Yeah,
of
amazing thing to see as well. Because Raiders locations are so rare.
That was really cool. I couldn't walk up there either because of a shoot. That's the great irony when I'm on a tour. It's like, well, we'll show you the shooting location, but they're shooting.
They're shooting. It's a very popular place.
Yeah, it happens. But the Westin Hotel right in the middle of town served as your security trade show location in the conversation. So this spot here where
incredible
Gene Hackman takes a phone call underneath the stairs there.
Oh
They've since built the wall around that area and sort of traded out that spot for a way now to get to other parts of the hotel. But the staircase is there. If you look closely, there's you can't really see it. The door next to the phone, to the left of the phone, that opens up and has storage, that's still there underneath, but you kind of can't see it with that new wall they built. And of course, they don't have a giant model of the of the hotel sitting in the hallway anymore. That was strictly for the movie. But who's watching Gene Hackman in this particular shot? Nobody other than Martin Stett, played by Harrison Ford. And you can see in the upper shot there, Hackman looking back at him. And I found that very spot and took a pic.
That's the greatest location find of all time. You know how I'm obsessed with the red couch shot, man. That shot is one of my favorite shots in cinema, I think.
Yeah, I had nothing to lean on the same direction he did.
No, you had to. Well, he's got nothing to lean on either. Look, he's got an elbow out in the air.
It's kind of on the edge of the couch.
Oh, yeah, he's kind of doing this thing on the couch. Yeah. But it does
clearly, in literally this year, 50 years. That hasn't, it's obviously entirely
right.
different.
This is his 50th anniversary.
Oh since 74 that came out.
Wow. Look at that. And there's windows behind you. There are mirrors behind him. There probably were windows behind him. They just were like, oh, it's better if it's a mirror because obviously the surveillance theme or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
I think those windows go into another room, I think, as opposed to out onto the street. So maybe they have to, over time, put some window in there so you could see another conference hall or something.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see, in the center there, some like whatever's on the wall here on the right, showing you like what happens if you take a right, or you can see that reflected in the window next to me. So that whole area is still kind of the same.
Oh, that's what I'm seeing.
Well worked over in 50 years. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. He turns around from the phone. So that is an actual contiguous location. Okay.
Yeah. But those aren't mirrors anymore. There are windows to something.
How great is that shot with the mirror, though? Because when he turns and it's a cut to this and Hackman's still in it, even though it's his point of view. Oh, it's so good. That guy should make Megalopolis. Yeah.
Speaking of Megalopolis, speaking of Harrison Ford, we saw it at the IMAX.
We did. Oh, you took a photo.
Yeah. I like when they put the big deal.
Oh, I love
projection
that
screen up there on the
so
curtain.
great.
That's always pretty cool. But the most important part is when you go to the bathroom, there's this photo of Spielberg and Lucas on the staircase going down to the bathroom. So
wow,
that's how we can tie it directly to Harrison Ford.
I love that. Where are they in that location, though? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like Lucas is kind of looking at Spielberg, and it seems like Spielberg is posing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what they're doing. Hands and feet.
Oh, they're getting their hands and feet, right? Because this is also at the Chinese when you go upstairs. That whole hallway has great photos like this that are huge. Yeah.
Did they do that at the same time? I guess I
guess so. So that obviously this is, and look at their looks. I could tell you how old George Lucas or Spielberg is in any photo. This is 84. That is the 84 Lucas, and that is the 84 Spielberg.
So they're making Temple of Doom, putting their feet in cement.
Mm-hmm. That's my theory.
Got any thoughts on Megalopolis, Adam?
Yes, it's the they don't make them like that anymore. It is they don't make them like that anymore. The movie. Yeah. For every time people have said they take the 70s movie and they idealize it and oh my gosh, look at this sort of thing. And so a lot of times I think to myself, you wouldn't have liked it. if some of these movies are, difficult. One from the Heart is a classic example you and I bring up. You have to discover that as an adult. You can't discover that in one viewing in the theater. Like, it's just like, what was that? You watch One from the Heart and you're like, what the hell's he do? I don't even, okay, I get he's being art, but, and yet still, anyway. But you watch that a couple times and you start noticing, oh, these are pieces of set being moved to accommodate this shot in a scrim instead of a wall. Who does that? Like all that stuff starts blowing you away and you go, oh, and then you get into the sort of lyrical patterns of the somewhat boring movie or whatever, but you're just like, oh, he's doing a different style. He's just shooting it this way and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. That's what Megalopolis is. Like anytime you tune out and go, I'm not entirely sure what we're doing here. But it doesn't owe you that. I think my opinion, it's interesting that Megalopolis, Horizon Part 1, and Joker Folie Deux, which one of these days I am going to look up what that means.
I can tell you what it means.
A theme for the movie that I should have looked up before I went in. Yeah.
Like a I want to say
Flight
the
of
right
fancy
word
or something.
Oh wait, I can tell you the right word because I did write it down. It's shared between two people, and it's specifically a mental illness shared between two people in close association. So clearly, he's talking about Joker and Harley.
Oh, well, that's very clever.
But what about those three movies? Because I got something about two of those movies.
Okay, well, those movies are literally what we always say. Man, they don't make them like that anymore, in this new corporate environment and blah, blah, blah. Everything's got to be a superhero movie, blah, this sort of thing that people just sort of complain about in it generally. But you look at those three movies and you're like, well, they did it. The thing you're complaining that nobody ever gets to do anymore. Nobody ever gets to overreach on a passion project. Nobody ever gets to not be gotten by its initial audience and declared genius later. We're waiting on those three. It'll probably happen, I'm assuming. People love to reclaim more than claim. Claiming seems like, I don't want to be a wimp and like that current movie that everybody likes. Right. And then somehow frame that as a deep intellectual opinion. But you and I know, Paul, because we're older and we've talked movies longer than a lot of young people. It's me not like new thing is all the complexity of that is. Yeah. I don't like that new thing. Well, no shit, you don't. And then the next tweet down is, actually, Batman Forever is a masterpiece, and it's my favorite Batman movie or whatever. And you're like, you gotta wait to do it. You gotta hate it in real time. Anyway, sorry, that's a whole rant I go off.
For me, it's that Coppola didn't seem to make this movie for anyone to watch. It was for himself.
Exactly what we're asking him all to do all the time.
And yet, though, it also, and based on his little blurb he says before the movie, it's also a message to the future. Yeah. So it's interesting how, you don't need to watch this, but if you did, I have this message for the future about what, about the fall of great empires. Little on the head, of course. It's like, this is like Rome. Like Rome, there's chariot races. They have leaves in their head. They got togas, whatever. So he never wanted to be subtle in his one from the heart mode.
Yes. Yeah. And what you're describing right there, it did well. It is. I loved seeing people walking around in basically superhero costumes, that everybody's suits have become these sort of a little more austere, larger than life sort of things. I love that was just everywhere you looked. I mean, the movie seems to only really want to be that, which is fine. Maybe it doesn't declare its intentions to just be this sort of visual, watch all this cool stuff, but now seeing it a second time, I'll be like, I'm just there to watch the cool stuff. It doesn't have to hold together as an actual, when you said that was these it's about hope for the future. Okay. I mean, the rest of the world will not see that intro before it, and that's fine also.
Yeah. Well, speaking of
it might be about cool looking things. It might be about, looking at Adam Driver on an IMAX screen for 2 hours is what it might be about. And if it is about that, it succeeds.
Yes. Well,
and I'm there for it.
Fair question here. Did you go to the special experience screenings? I thought I did. I went to the exact same theater that had one the night before, but when we went, it did not have it.
I think it was only 7 and 9 o'clock that did it, and I think we were there at 4 or something.
So, we missed out on the... if you don't know, there were live actors interacting with the movie at certain points in the film, and I would love to have seen that.
Who does that?
I'm very disappointed I didn't see that.
That's amazing. So, I'm disappointed.
And I also want to see what kind of actor the guy was who works the concession, who, 8:20, got to go out and,
But, when I think about something like that, if I told you Francis Ford Coppola was going to make this movie called Megalopolis, because he started trying to make this in 1982, right? There's a whole section, I think, in his book on it. Griffin Newman posted it on Reddit of just it's a book called Movies You'll Never See. And it's all the concept art from Megalopolis from 82, which is, so it's crazy. As film fans, and I think any film fans do like that movie because they get what, our friends they're all going in with the right intentions of like, oh my God, this movie was almost never made. It was and he put his own money in it. It's all the things you want. You go, God, why doesn't one of these people just put all their own money into their passion project? They did. There it is. It's that's just so hard to get over that I'm like, plot point 1 doesn't intersect with plot point 3. I'm like, oh, you're still on about that? You're still on about plot when you're watching this movie? It's clearly more interested in being a visual spectacle, which I would also say about Joker.
And I would say I like Joker a little more because I had a more satisfying ending, but also that movie's not for any of us to watch either. I think it's like Phillips just going, fuck you guys.
I'm going to make my own movie. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but I think this is a result of making a movie and doing whatever we want when you didn't even want to make the movie. Where it's like Coppola's been trying since 81. Phillips is like, we don't need a sequel. All right, you need me to make it? All right, well, how's this?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
because the first one wasn't... Well, that's the other thing about like, oh, what a box office bomb. And I'm like, the first one was never supposed to succeed, guys. The first one was a lark. It was this idea of like, I don't know, why don't you just make a bunch of Joker movies? And why don't we... And, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker and Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, like, from a sort of James Gunn Marvel perspective of like, oh, that's odd. That's not the comic book character. But as you and I have had one foot in the world before Marvel and one foot in the world after. Before, the Joker is exactly what you would get in 84. And you go, well, people that made that obviously never read the comic book, but it's cool to have a Joker movie, and that looks awesome, So, neither of those movies should exist in a timeline in some ways. Like, I'm just shocked they exist. So, while you have Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga as those two characters, yeah, who gives a shit about story? Just shoot them all. Just shoot them as much as you can. And they do. And they shoot the prison stuff as grim as they can. And also, I'm spoiled because I'm on an IMAX screen. The whole thing is the IMAX, which is unbelievable. And, like some of the criticisms are, it doesn't really hang together as a musical. I'm like, okay. I mean, the idea of Joker and Harley Quinn in a musical to begin with is so bonkers awesome that Joker Folie à Deux is precisely the description of a movie that didn't get made that would make you go, oh my God, if only the people at the studios had courage to let, name your 80s director or whatever, make a musical with Joker and Harley Quinn in a prison. Tim Burton, right? It's like, oh, if only this, if you read about that as a failed project that didn't happen, it's like, oh my God, can you believe Tim Burton was going to make a musical with Joker and Harley Quinn, and it was going to be real dark and gritty, not like those other two Batman movies they made after him? You go, oh, what the things we lost, the things we could have seen. And then it happens. They put it out in the theaters, and everybody's like, whatever. Told you wouldn't like it. Told you wouldn't like it if you got everything you asked
absolutely for. Todd Phillips's take. Told you wouldn't like it. Anyway, next.
It's so cool it exists. No, it's not The Dark Knight in terms of storytelling, but...
Oh, but that's when I left, I went, oh boy, let's change, time and space and give me the Chris Nolan, Heath Ledger's Joker in Arkham movie. Oh my God, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat. And I think the studio, even though this one was a bomb, would go, that's still a pretty good idea. Like, let's put Batman and him together because I think we know why this one didn't succeed. It's not doing anything all that interesting except being beautiful. And just...
Great score.
Great score. Oh, great score.
Again,
yeah. I forget about that. Yeah. And just...
I think it's a crappy musical. That's the only problem. You know how, like, for me, a musical... Well, for the
should
general
not just play a bunch of standards.
Well, the general definition is once your characters can no longer speak their feelings, they have to sing in order to get it across. And I just don't feel that ever happened here. I get that's entertainment out in front of the courthouse that tracks as a parallel.
Yeah.
But then even when he's saying, "For once in my life," I think he's watching court footage, and it's like, is he singing about her? Because he only saw her like once. Yeah. And then, so I don't know. It just always feels like when you go into like a dream sequence in a musical, it enriches the story that much more. And I don't think these songs ever did that. I think it was just kind of a waste, killing time, honestly.
But also just to be because I don't know if I want to see Todd Phillips's musical in some, but I would watch Todd Phillips.
Sure you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Todd Phillips, look at the soundtrack of one of his early movies. It's all of these mainstream drop needle songs, that are in this too, but now they're singing them. It's Lady Gaga. It's, it's just like, it's so bonkers that Joker Folie à Deux exists, that it's to be applauded. I don't care if you like it. Be a better film fan than to go, not that good. Oh, really? Have you really thought about how impossible it is to have that movie on the screen to watch? I mean, I don't care if it made money. I mean, frequently, great movies don't make money. I mean, everybody knows that. Oh, I can't believe Shawshank was a bomb. Frequently it happens. So, because it bombed doesn't mean it's bad, although social media will absolutely convince you of that. That is absolutely a rule if they're saying it this minute.
Again, I thought the ending was fantastic. I thought the reverence for Joker as a social icon, as opposed to reverence for Arthur, was interesting and well played. And I see where it's going next. But the road there was a little blur for me. But if we're off on a superhero,
it's just long, beautiful shots. It's the same thing with even though Zack Snyder's movies try and hold together, obviously more as with a plot, tries to be more of a summer movie, but at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of beautiful shots, and I'm totally there for it. Like, I'll watch. There's no stakes to Superman pulling the ship out of the sea and the people putting their hands on him like Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. But would I want a movie without those shots? I do not think so. So,
well, while we're on a superhero, Jag, I want to show you my new living room wall.
I love it so much.
Yeah, my friend Mike back in the East Coast came across one of these and mailed it out to me in in the little tube and everything. So it arrived in good shape, and I framed that bitch and put it up there. So this is the living room wall now. I love that poster
so much.
This is the living room wall now. You got Indy, Deadpool, and What About Bob? That's for Susan, her favorite movie of all time.
It's so
to the right there is a movie we saw at Telluride with Julia Louis-Dreyfus called Tuesday.
Okay.
But that's where they're on the right. But
like
this is the
more
part.
Current release.
Yeah, more current release and a drama. But this is like the hype part of the wall.
Right on. Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, that's the best movie of the year.
Right.
I mean, I can sit here and defend Joker all day, but I mean, it's not a superhero movie, obviously. It's not even a comic book movie. It's very much what they would do in 85 that would be frustrating, but at least we got a Joker movie, which is like, whoa, I mean, if you watch like what's a classic, well, I don't know, like the Captain America TV movie or whatever, like these people have no idea what a Captain America movie is. We will never see a real Captain America movie, but this is all we got. I like it. It feels very much that way. The demand that people make of like, but if we could go back to the way we made superhero movies before Marvel, and I in my head, I'm like, you ain't gonna like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I was there for Superman 4. I was, you ain't gonna like it. I have Superman 3 even, you ain't gonna like it. And
they showed you in this movie it's Elektra. Okay?
Right.
That's what we're going back to if you want to. But instead, we bring her in to the fold and have some fun with her and make her great.
This movie had to score no points with me from minute one anyway. But the fact that it acted like it did, it acted like even Adam Witt, the most cynical man about superhero movies on earth, we're going to make him in love with this by the end of it. Even if he's not, like that movie tries so hard and ends up being in some ways like the first comic book movie ever made. like you're like, 32 movies in or whatever, Marvel's like, because they started with one foot in the black leather era, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, Tony Stark, I was surprised that looked like a, but you had to mute the Captain America suit. You had to make Hulk a little darker green because people don't handle brightness.
Still put an A on Cap's head. I mean,
still gonna put an A, but we'll find a real world way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one, you're like, no, there are just superhero movies, and this is how they're made, and that's the greatest movie of all time, which is not a literal thing. I think I just like calling certain movies the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. Well, you'll be more appropriate person to probably talk about this.
And what does this have to do with Harrison Ford? He's in the MCU now. We have license to talk about the MCU anytime we want because Harrison Ford is in the MCU.
I know, but we're going to drift into something just for a half second because it was brought up in the chat. Transformers 1 came out, probably the best one in the last 20 years, but the lowest box office. Is there Transformers fatigue? What do you think is the account for that, Adam?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I'm shocked they're still making these. But this one, now, I haven't seen this one yet.
They don't not make money until now. And so now the question is, do you make another one?
That's the weird thing. So I can't say without seeing it first, but this would appear to be the Transformers movie and I'm assuming David and I think many other people wish they had made first. I've never seen a Transformers movie is the actual answer. I've been to many movies that have the word Transformer in the title, but I've never seen a Transformers movie.
Well, Transformers the movie, the animated back in the day.
Oh, that
OG.
one. Right.
Yeah,
there is one Transformers movie, and now it looks like there's two because these are the robot looks and battles and this sort of stuff, but it seems like it's it runs the risk of appearing too inside, like a Power Rangers movie. You're not going to convince anybody from outside the Power Rangers world to go see a Power Rangers movie. And luckily, from what I've heard of the Power Rangers movie too, they didn't really care. They're like, no, we're going to make this an act, and we're going to make it a little real world here and there, but like, it's going to be a Power Rangers. There's no denying. We're not going to try and bring in someone who's never heard of it to go, oh, what's this new thing called Power Rangers? And so I think Transformers 1 is so unashamed to be a Transformers movie, again, from what I gather, that's not going to appeal to everyone. You know what appeals to everyone? Mark Wahlberg.
I'm just going to say
you know what doesn't make a good Transformers movie? Mark Wahlberg, even though those are my favorite ones.
But also, you know what doesn't make a good Transformers movie? Mark Wahlberg's voice. So despite the fact they loaded up with Hemsworth and all these other good actors doing the voices in Transformers 1, it didn't relate to them drawing box office numbers.
Yeah.
But two inside, that might be it. That was in terms of answering David's. Well, he didn't ask a question, but in terms of why it was the.
I'll find out when I see it. I'm very excited to see it. Still, that's like my next thing to see.
Same. I'm a bit behind, but
I have to see Demoness of 1,000 Years and at the New Beverly tonight. So
I went to see Eternal of the Sunshine of the Spotless Mind at the Academy Museum. Yeah, what do you got to do these things?
It's October. I'm only watching old stuff. I saw The Shining at the Egyptian. Have you seen The Shining in a movie theater, Paul?
Oh, I think I told you last time I saw it was at the Great Cinerama Dome before.
Whoa!
Yeah,
I'd still have pee in my pants if I saw it at the Cinerama Dome, because part of me also realizes any negative criticism about movies is like, you watched it at home, didn't you? Because I'm like, if you're a movie fan, as our friends are, as our people we have our conversations with and hang out with and Schmodown and all these people, we're legit movie fans. If you give us the option of watching it at home or watching it in a theater, it's like, well, a theater, There is an astounding difference between watching Airplane with a packed crowd and Airplane at home. It's just, those are two different movies. And so The Shining, I don't think I'd ever seen it in the theater before.
I'm going to see We Live in Time tonight, the new Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh drama with comedy, I guess. Someone told me it's like a real good Cameron Crowe movie when he's at his
Cameron
best.
Crowe, right?
It's not Cameron. I don't think it is Cameron Crowe.
Oh, Cameron Crowe's style.
But
Cameron Crowe does have a movie out there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did. I saw that. That's that new Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers doc. That's been lost for 30 years.
Right.
And 40 years.
You told me.
And and just came up. That I saw that. See, I saw that, but I haven't seen Transformers.
Yeah.
But even that tonight's going to be better in the theater because the filmmakers are working to overwhelm you. And when they do, that's when they can work on you. Your senses, your sight, your sounds, everything has to be bigger than you to have its effect. So, no doubt The Shining's great in the theater. But I think everything is because of its ability. It creates the workspace for it to do its magic. The things that work on you when you don't even know it's happening.
Well, because it depends. Movies depend on being able to build on you for 2 hours. They know where they're going because they're done. But the storytelling, the things we love, and the constituent elements of storytelling and production design and editing and all these things that weave a spell over you that just pull you in the various ways. Well, The Shining, it does such in such a way that any previous experience with watching The Shining could not be held in my head in real time. I could not picture how the movie ends, or I could not say, oh, wait till this next scene. Oh, I can't wait to see this scene. Those long shots of, beginning with the helicopter, but the mesmerizing one is still the big wheel. It just didn't even feel like it was ever mesmerizing at home. It felt like it was a curiosity. But in the theater, that the sound design too, with all the big speakers there too, of the wheels going from the wood to the carpet, the wood to the carpet, which does apply at home because that's such a distinctive thing. But to have it to be there, so there. And
that was the Vista?
That was the Egyptian, although they did show it at the Vista, and I thought about going the next night. Oh, I told you, yeah. I thought about going the next night because I'm like, I'm just like, I feel like I've seen this new movie, and before it goes out of theaters, I'm going to see it again.
We have an embarrassment of riches in LA. It's so great.
Very lucky. Very lucky.
But let's talk briefly
on my street alone.
Let's talk briefly about what you should be seeing on TV.
Hey, now I'm behind on this, Paul. How many episodes have aired? I'm going to catch up on this week.
Well, I think a new one just came out yesterday, but I watched the first two. It debuted with 2 new episodes.
Okay.
And I'll give you a little hint of what's going on there, I think.
You're the scene. Me. Therapist. I think we're all on a hot streak.
Whoa, you wearing your sex boxes at work for, you little freak?
Dress for the job you want.
Wow, you better slow that down.
This is why I hate to come out of my office. I think that Alice is worried about me. It's rough to realize your kid knows how fragile you are.
Paul, do not do that. How are you so strong?
I'm not fragile.
So the 2 first episodes are pretty much the exact stuff you got the first time around. The comedy might be a little broader, but otherwise it's a great mix of comedy and drama, both. Yeah. There's serious stuff at play here because Jason Segel's character, his wife was killed in a car accident. And so that grief was real in the season 1, and it kind of caused him to do this radical therapy, and then the radical therapy yields a lot of comic results, but by the end they're serious. And now we come into the what's in this season, what all those serious repercussions mean. And now it seems like there's a character involved in that accident with his wife who's coming forward. And so there's a whole lot happening. And I got to get to, and there's definitely
is that connected to season 1?
It's moving right along. Yeah. And all those locations now in Pasadena where I got to go track them down. And
have you seen them already in the show?
They shoot a big scene right in front of City Hall in Pasadena with which I already go to on the tour. We went there. It's from Parks and Rec and from and Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yeah. But
the police station from.
Yeah, they put a food truck out there in one of the scenes, and so it's right there. But then also that park bench where Harrison Ford talks to Segel's daughter all the time, and they have these conversations. I've seen that, but I haven't gone up to it and sat in it.
You haven't sat on it yet?
This is it. Yeah, so I got to do that whole thing. I was in that park.
New Harrison Ford locations, hot off the presses.
Right.
Paul.
I was in that park before I knew they shot there. And I got to find out what's going on with where they hike all the time in that movie. I want to find those paths. I'm wondering if they just ditch Pasadena and go into Runyon Canyon or something because they're hiking all the time. In fact, the big scene from the finale of last season happens on a hike. And but I just don't know where those paths are. So I got a lot of tracking down of locations to do and make sure I put them on the tour for fans of the show.
You're the right man for the job.
I will twist my
I speak for our entire audience. I'm glad you're on it, Paul. Of all people, I'm glad you're on it.
Yeah. They will be fine. Well, City Hall, easy. And I know where that bench is. Like I said, but the thing is, I was there before the show. So I'm like, I know that park. We had dinner right there before I saw the pilot episode.
Now, how crazy is that, Paul? Thinking about back to when you were a movie fan and you would look at these locations and go, how cool would it be to be at the tree from Return of the Jedi? That's a childhood thing. When you're standing there, Paul, you are immediately a kid again. Like, oh my God, I am in the literal Endor forest. Literally, Endor is right here. But how cool is that now as an adult professional who has moved to Los Angeles and pursued his interests, that you can now see Harrison Ford do something that you've already done.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Well, I mean,
when I walk past the Chinese theater, I picture the entire Star Wars line from that picture I've seen since I was 5,
Yeah. Are you talking about when you come down from the redwoods in Endor through Point Reyes in the fog and down through the conversation in San Francisco and end up on the boardwalk from Lost Boys, because did that too. So, Santa Cruz.
Oh, that's where that boardwalk is.
Yeah, it's also the one from Us, but I wasn't prepared to take pics from Us, but here I knew what shots I wanted to get for sure.
Us.
Hot dog.
Us.
Us, the Jordan Peele film.
Us, right? Oh yeah. That's such a short title. That one really.
Sudden Impact took place there too. I mean, I got to search all that down, but it's not on the tour, so I haven't looked at it too heavily. I just knew
nobody's requested Sudden Impact yet on the tour.
Well, it's going to cost them an extra $1,000 to drive up to Santa Cruz. But there's the Giant Dipper, the roller coaster, still going.
It's still there. All this stuff's still there.
Yeah, that's below is present, and up above is in the film. The carousel was a big deal. That's still rolling.
Wow.
I mean, Santa Cruz Boardwalk was great. We got cotton candy. We rode the little thing that goes over the top of it all. When you run those little the sky cruiser or whatever they call it. Yeah, what are the sky
buckets? Right, the buckets.
Sky buckets.
Let's call it sky buckets.
Yeah,
yeah.
And there's actually this should be in reverse. There's a big motorcycle chase that happens right down this hallway. That's Kiefer Sutherland on his motorcycle, and they end up coming down.
Like the signs are the same. That never happens with locations, Paul.
Yeah. And then Jason Patrick, I think, comes down. Is that him down there? Anyway.
Yeah. I'd say.
And so yeah, all those.
Wait,
shots.
Is that a movie theater or something now behind there instead of
that's just another area. We did a whole bunch of that stuff too. We went in and played dance. It's an arcade, and actually they have mini golf in there. It's the big thing they have in there. We didn't get to that.
Much like in Lost Boys, so that hasn't changed either.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So no, it's arcades.
Hey, where's the mini golf course from Karate Kid?
That's in Norwalk. No, I've been there a couple times.
Always funny that
it's on the tour. Well,
everything I ask you is hilarious. Did you know?
It's called Golf and Stuff. They didn't even have it play anything else. It's exactly what it is in the film and in real life. It's on Norwalk, just along the 110, I believe.
You have assumed your ultimate form, Paul. That I could say where's the golf course from the mini golf from Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Where was it? Because I was too busy laughing.
Don't go to the one in Ventura. It's the one in Norwalk.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's funny.
Problem with that boardwalk is all
yes.
I think I said that when I was
the sax players.
Saying that's muscular sax player.
I love that that's become a pop cultural icon. I never would have thought to focus on that guy, and it's just hilarious.
And who's going to put that guy? Yeah, who's going to put that guy in a movie? Schumacher.
Right. Right.
Who? What? Schumacher.
Schumacher.
Here's another stupid thing someone sent me because Harrison Ford.
That's
dumb, right?
That's dumb, but nobody ever thought to do it till now.
I know. You win, guy. Whoever should put your name on it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh, here's the last pick I took. I think I sent this to you when I was at a deli on my trip.
Your order?
When we call order 66, you will die? No, your order will be ready and you'll enjoy your sandwich. Oh, okay.
Execute order 66 with fries. That is funny. That is how Batman Forever Schumacher.
It's all coming full circle.
Absolutely. Yeah. What need do I have for a Joel Schumacher movie without shots of butts and abs? Yeah. What do I need that for? That's like a Die Hard movie where he's not stuck in one place.
Here's the thing: was that the dude, the sax player for Tina Turner? I can't tell you that he was. I can't tell you he ever played saxophone, but did he do it also in Thunderdome? I think so.
Let's find out.
I don't know if he ever actually played saxophone. They just needed a hot guy to hold the sax and do a lot of this. This is really all he ever did, right?
This is where Stephen Lewis's old philosophy of just giving it to him. Like, why do I need to look that up? I'm giving it to him. Yeah, of course it's the same person. Thunderdome. Wow, yeah. That's.
But I don't know if they ever toured with Tina Turner. I don't know if they ever actually played the saxophone.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, from the two movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you knew already. I didn't know.
Well, but when he says, "Is that the sax player for Tina Turner?" It almost sounds like the dude went on tour with her. I don't think
I know. Our audience, no, that's not what they were talking about, Mr. Music.
Okay, all right, fine. Could he fit in a 80s dark, vampire circle and also a post-apocalyptic desert hellscape. Yeah, that guy could fit in both of those areas.
All right. I have something to show you. I've just uncovered.
Oh, yes, on tour. Are you saying that he went on tour with her? Because he looked just like a big...
Or on tour with the band, yes!
It's going to ruin the tour. Well, Adam looks that up to find out if he actually played with her or not. Well, I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
I'm going to do my best, Stephen A. Smith. I have the utmost respect for what Sebulba has done for the sport of pod racing. But listen, if you're going to tell me Sebulba's the GOAT, then explain how come I turn on the Boonta Eve Classic and watch him get whooped by a 9-year-old boy. It's my best. My best Stephen A. Smith, and that is a stupid meme. Matt Tomic, well done.
Here we go. This is. It is what a legend. I think we've coined a real legend today. Tim Capello is the saxophonist who played in the 1987 vampire film The Lost Boys and in Tina Turner's band in the 80s and 90s.
Wow, yes, we're being told he
Shirtless
actually plays
sax man.
Still plays sax. Is he still jacked?
Oh, is Tim Capello still jacked? I'm just going to type that.
Okay, you type that. Well, I welcome my friend Alicia. Holy shit. This is a friend of mine from my childhood. Let's just say it's from my teens. It's from 20 years ago, as far as you know. But it's funny that you should chime in right when we're talking about The Lost Boys, which is probably the last time we hung out, when that movie was in theater. Well, with any regularity. It's good to see your name flash across here, Alicia. And Alicia, you no doubt remember the jacked up sax player from The Lost Boys, because ladies remember that kind of thing.
Here, let me just say, Paul, that the last thing was, so when you type into Google now, it gives you the AI overview summary of results.
It
right?
does. And it's sometimes obnoxious, but yes.
But so on the last one, it said, yes, Tim Capello is the guy that played sax for blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Can I bring up the actual screen here? Oh, yeah. Here it is.
Are you going to share screen?
Yeah. Here is the answer it gave me. Yes, Tim Capello is still jacked.
Still jacked. Known for his physique. He's 67 and still jacked.
Yes, he's still jacked. Thank you, AI response. That's fantastic. Oh my God. So good. So good.
That's hilarious. Alicia, I hope you were here when we were just talking about my visit to all the locations from the boardwalk up in Santa Cruz where they filmed The Lost Boys, like the boardwalk,
Luckily, the show lives forever.
The staircase, the hallways. That's not it. Where's the other one? Oh, that's it. Oh wait, then this one, and of course, yeah. Anyway, come on out here. I'll show you around.
Did you scroll past the red carpet? Well, you watch the show back. We go on and on about the red the red couch shot, which I'm quite obsessed with.
We have done a public service here today for those who wondered if Tim Capello is, first of all, to wonder what his name is, and to find out if he's still jacked.
He's still jacked.
Can you get talk text? Yes, Tim Capello is still jacked. Jacked sax man. I think that's what we all called him back in the day.
Fantastic. Next
up is Harrison Ford, still jacked. Damn straight. Well, I don't know. He's looked pretty old and shrinking, but he looked pretty great in just last year in Dial of Destiny. So,
yeah absolutely.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, which is how this show goes, if you haven't figured that out by now.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, a subtle theme you'll notice over our last 63 episodes or whatever it is.
One more photo I forgot from the from my trip, and this is a sushi spot in Arcata, which is Arcata is a town just south of Redwood National Park where I stayed, and in an Airbnb, but proudly serving Kirin Lagabiru. And for those of you who are new, might be thinking to yourself, what is Kirin Lagabiru?
Why would they just mention that randomly? Well...
Beer, please?
Yes, Kirin Lagabiru.
Kirin Lagabiru.
Kudasai.
Kudasai?
Umai.
Umai?
Yes.
Kirin Lagerbeer. Umai? Kudasai?
Good.
Mr. Beer. Kirin Lagabiru.
Don't you hate it when a commercial just pops up in the middle of what you're watching? Happens to me all the time because I have I I need to pay for a higher tier of Amazon Prime.
Follow old Tom, for he will show you.
Lays.
Pretty weird.
Yeah.
Pretty weird.
All right, we got to call it a day, Adam.
Yeah, that really blows the flow, doesn't it? For watching
It
something
does,
like that.
yeah.
Ugh.
There's another one too, where like right when like there's an explosion in the elf village, and one of your main characters goes flying another direction. They cut to the chick from The Last of Us who can't remember somebody's name in the library, but Siri remembers. And then it's just like, you're killing me. I'm trying to stay in this thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, season 2 of Rings of Power is very good.
I'm
Loki
hearing this.
and Rings of Power both have shocked the hell out of me by having better season 2s, I think, than season 1. That's my take on those. But
behind on all that. But I'm going to catch up now because I am free from obligations. Because this weekend, if anybody wants to go to the golden age of Mexican cinema and golden age of Hollywood show at the Disney Concert Hall, that will feature a lot of my work. And I might end on one question based on that, Paul, which I told you I had earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Which is because I said I want it might be fun to talk about the Golden Age show at the Disney Concert Hall, but I couldn't think of a reason that connected to Harrison Ford besides me, the editor of some Harrison Ford montages. So I went ahead and looked up the director Emilio Fernandez, director of the amazing Enamorada. One might call him the John Ford of Mexican cinema, but he also played a villain in a lot of the movies as well. And I looked up how Emilio Fernandez was connected to Harrison Ford. Have you heard of Emilio Fernandez before, Paul?
I have not. No, not till your lower third.
Yes. I am. Well, Emilio Fernandez was in A Covenant with Death with Larry D. Mann, who was also in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round with Harrison Ford.
You have Kevin Baconed your way to that. All right.
Also featured in the show Cantinflas. Do you know the comedian Cantinflas?
Oh, yes. Hollywood High graduate?
A Hollywood High graduate.
Yeah,
I see his face every time I walk.
He's on the mural there, yeah.
Do you know how he's connected to Harrison Ford?
Cantinflas? Nope. But I'm sure I'm going to know.
Was in Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he's the guy that helps him in the balloon.
Niven. Okay.
Yeah, with Niven. And also in Around the World in 80 Days was Richard Lamar, who was in love with Harrison Ford, which I love.
He was not, for the record, he was not in love with Harrison Ford. He might have been in love with him. Adam and I are in love with Harrison Ford, but he was in the movie Love.
In the movie Love,
Harrison
yes. I don't think we have the clip of Harrison Ford queued up, but it's a legendary clip that we've had a lot of fun with. We're doing a montage on Louis Buñuel. I've edited a montage on Louis Buñuel. Are you familiar with the works of Louis Buñuel?
Who gives a shit?
No. I actually, I was looking for the Love clip and I saw that, but that doesn't exactly explain my thoughts on Louis Buñuel, who's legend.
Yeah, I accidentally connected him to Kevin Bacon. Let me go on to the next one. Okay, here's the one you'll know. This is the last
Louis
one.
Buñuel, did he make the film Un Chien Andalou with Dali?
Did.
Okay, that's
Dali.
That's one you should see if you don't know Buñuel.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay. We're also doing a montage. I've edited a montage for Betty Davis, one for James Dean that will be featured in the show with pieces of score from their movies.
Right, Mexico's Betty Davis.
No, it's a Golden Age of Hollywood's the second half. First half is Golden Age of Mexico. Hosted by Robert Rodriguez, by the way.
Nice.
Very excited about that. So the last one I'll give you, because this one is gettable, Paul, is James Dean. How can you connect the Kevin Bacon game, James Dean, to Harrison Ford?
Oh, that's...
It's a fun one.
That. I can
it's
do
pretty gettable. Anybody else in the chat, maybe?
I could just start talking, I'll get there, but I'm trying to do it the fastest way. Because you'd say immediately, well, James Dean was in Rebel Without a Cause with, like, let's say Dennis Hopper, right? Who was in Colors with Robert Duvall.
No. Take a step back.
He directed Colors.
Paul, take a step back.
With Gene Hackman conversation. There it is. Hoosiers, right? And boom, there it is.
Nope.
So
there's a shorter one, Paul.
There's a shorter way? Then
go back to the top of that one.
Then one movie?
Yeah. No, it's go back to the top there. Rebel Without a Cause. Who was in that with him?
I said Dennis Hopper.
You did say Dennis Hopper. Now pause right
who's
there.
The Apocalypse Now. Okay,
there we
go.
go.
All right.
Oh yeah, look at this. Oh yeah, just seconds before you.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Excellent.
I can get to anybody if I just start talking and I don't think about it. If I stop to think about it, I can get there in the fastest route. But if I just start going, I do that all the time. Just I'll just keep going until it works, and it will.
Well, you have to host the show as well, so it takes up a little brain.
That's right.
You have to keep talking on this show, even if we have nothing to say, which is also the theme of the last 63 shows. All right, that's it.
Now, so Adam plugged what he's doing. I should do quick plugs too. We finished the Countdown to 3 Deadpool show.
I'm behind on this too.
Watched all the Deadpool movies, and so the latest episode featuring Justin Bowler, Sean Blodgett, and myself has gone up at themovieguys.net. You can go and watch that. Also, check me out doing movie reviews on Your Weekly Dose. That episode of Your Weekly Dose, I believe, is up on themovieguys.net as well. You can see reviews of Joker, Folie, Deux, and a film I enjoyed much more, Saturday Night, which I thought was just great. Seen that yet, Adam?
What, Folie, Deux?
Saturday Night.
Oh, Saturday Night. No. And that was at the Vista? Is it still at the Vista? I might have missed it at the Vista. Now I got to go to an AMC. Yeah, no, but that one actually, that and Transformers 1 are my two must-sees right now.
Yeah, Transformers.
But instead I'm going to a Japanese horror double feature at the New Beverly. That is me.
Sense. Yeah. Also, if you like interviews with filmmakers, check out the one I did with Evan Marlowe. He directed a film called Abruptio. The movie poster's behind him there. This is a horror movie about a guy who wakes up with something sewn in the back of his neck, and he is told that his head will explode if he doesn't do the bidding of someone that keeps calling him to tell him what to do, which usually involves killing and other nefarious things. However, the entire cast, puppets. So
you had told me this, and
he said, "Look, I mean, it's clear the metaphor. We are puppets to this guy who calls and tells us what to do. So it's puppets doing the whole thing." Also, the great Olivia Dunkley returned to the Admirals Club for an interview on her new film Sleigh Ride. Don't be shocked by the charm and likability of this holiday picture. It's a slasher film. Her last movie was called A Holiday Boyfriend, and it was about a girl who wanted to have a boyfriend just to go home with in the holidays so her parents wouldn't think she didn't have one. And of course, they actually fall in love. It's a whole Lifetime movie type vibe to that one. Boy, she flipped the script on this one. Now this is just the Kris Kringle killer is out there, and she's messed with the wrong lady, and now it's a whole showdown and all that stuff. So
a perfect premise.
I talked to her about indie film stuff, which is what I love talking indie film. So, the stories from the trenches and everything.
And what does this have to do with Harrison Ford? Indie film.
There you go. Indie film. Very nice. Well, that's the wrap it up line. So are we done
and
here?
With that, I bid you a fondue.
And with that,
1, 2, 3.
From the ranks of spears and blowguns stepped a tall Frenchman, René Belloc.
So, you beat me to the treasure, Dr. Jones. But again, we see there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away.
Reluctantly, Indy handed over the gold statue.
Too bad your friends here don't know you like I do, Belloc.
Indy had no sooner resumed his archaeology lectures than he was contacted by government agents.
Professor Jones, what do you know about the lost Ark of the Covenant?
It was the sacred chest used to carry around the 10 Commandments. I've got a picture of it in this book. The Ark was said to have mysterious powers, and any army which carried it into battle was undefeatable.
That's the very reason we must find the Ark before the Nazi army does, Dr. Jones.
First, we'll need the key to the Ark's location, an ancient gold medallion. And I think I know just where to find it.
In the frozen peaks of Nepal lived Marion Ravenwood,